So emotion steering gives you tips and tools on how to really connect with your audiences. And for example, in Oatly's case, how can we actually understand the interaction between them and their customers? So next up, we will have John Schoolcraft, who is a food science professor. And I gotta tell you this, yesterday I had a lunch with my friend and he didn't know I would be introducing him today on the stage, and he was passionately telling me about their Instagram, how cool it is. And these guys are probably the reason why there's oatmeal shortage in Finland right now. So they have done something right. So let's give a big hand to John Schoolcraft. Please come here.
I think I'm about as far away from a food scientist as you can get. I know nothing about food, actually. I thought I would start off with a really honest first slide that says building a cult. It's just a little small task. So imagine if you work in advertising and you get this job and you're going to start working with something called oat milk. It's not like you jump up and down and say, oh, wow, oat milk. I've been waiting all my life to work on oat milk. That's made by some scientist 25 years ago, and it's great for the planet. It was really hard to get really excited about it. But that's what we do. We make oat milk. I think everyone here who lives in Finland probably has seen some campaigns and probably is very familiar with oat milk. What's happened now is within the last 2 months, it's just totally exploded in the United States, which is like you're a Swedish food company and all of a sudden everyone's writing about you like the world's going to change because of oat milk. So it's like something completely different than what we started off a few years ago. We're also the company that actually wrote "This tastes like shit" on our packaging. It was really funny in Sweden or here in Finland. You guys can laugh. But then it came into the UK and the kid said, Mommy, it says shit on the package. And then I wrote the first response back that said oh, wow, it's the 5th most popular word in the English language. Just think of the wonderful morning you have explaining to your child what the word shit means. And then they pulled it off the shelves at Waitrose for 3 months, and it cost hundreds of thousands of kroner. I'm not going to show you this slide too long. We got sued. I'm not allowed to legally show it, so it's a disclaimer. I'm not trying to commercialize this, but we got sued for this line by the Swedish milk. I'll tell you a little bit about that later. We're a company that tries as hard as possible not to be a company. We try not to act like a company. We're a group of people hanging out, helping other people. And we're not really interested in building a brand. I know that's really difficult to say in this room, but it's just not that interesting. We don't have a marketing department at all. And it's not only just because it was marketing departments that ruined all my greatest work when I was at the agency. But no, we don't have a marketing department. And this is how we work with influencers. So what we are is, if you can say, okay, you're not a brand, what are you? We're more like a voice. So I'm not going to read all these for you, but we're more think of it like not a brand, but a voice. We're just someone that you can talk to or has an opinion. And this one you've probably seen also in... The thing is that I saw this morning when they were showing a bunch of numbers and statistics and everything, it was only 20% of the population believes ads. Yeah, probably when the ads are really crap. But if the ads aren't selling anything and the ads are interesting, the ad just becomes just as interesting as a social media post. Anyway, so we're a voice, and we're a voice that tries to help people eat healthier without ruining the planet. which is a pretty good thing to be. We're not really interested in selling products at all. I mean, we have a commercial department, but Tony is the CEO, and I don't ever really talk about money. And that's probably why we sell so many products, is that we don't ever really sell. I'm going to take you back a little bit before everything was like painted murals on the walls in London. So November 2012, this is what we look like. I don't know if any of you remember this. It's probably the ugliest packaging in the history of the world. Look at it, pours from the right, like you're supposed to do. And the chocolate drink there with the handprint, I've never really understood that at all. I don't really get it. And this was our company presentation. I mean, this is how we presented ourselves. We got this great factory and a huge flag. And we do have like Sweden's biggest flag, so. And then this guy, Tony Peterson, the board at the time did the craziest thing ever. They employed him as the CEO. And when they employed him, he had the mandate to take this oat drink company and change it and make it like something different. The products were great. Everything was great. The company was like an entrepreneurial-based company. It was like scientists and people working with branding back in the day. And so what we did is, from the beginning, I was working in stealth at the same time that Tony started, so no one really knew I was working. And we decided, let's recreate that original company culture that we had. And so we made this book called The Change Book. And so the Change Book was just kind of this strategy, this guideline. It like every employee got one after a month, and the board got it. And I can only imagine what it's like to be an employee at that time. Like, what is this? It was full of like all kinds of wisdom, catchphrases and everything. But the most important thing it did, I think, really was to kind of shift our focus in how we measure success. So if you're like looking at, bottom line profits, everything, we said, isn't it like way cooler to like measure our success by if we can help people like change their lives just a little bit, small steps, or do something good for the planet, and just forget all those like profits and margins and everything else that stakeholders look into. So we said, we're going to go from being a food processing company to a lifestyle brand. Just think about how stupid that sounds. A food processing company to a lifestyle brand. From an industrial, scientific-based company to a consumer-oriented experience company. Okay? And it's like, if in hindsight, it's like, you have to be a little bit naive and stupid to really think that you can do that, but we were like really stupid and naive. This is the only strategic document that we have, really. This is how we work. We've divided the world into good companies and evil companies. And then we've divided them into like those companies that are scared shitless and those that are fucking fearless. And most of the companies, and it's not like companies are scared shitless, but you're in a marketing department and you're working and you're not worried about people. You're worried about all these layers of approvals. And when you're working on that, you can be a little bit good or a little bit evil. You're just never really going to come over to the fearless section. So our focus is to be as fucking fearless as we can. Monsanto is just as fearless, but they're like pure evil. So what we did is we went about trying to create a system where this would work. So like I said, no marketing department. What does the marketing department do? They do target group analysis and brand awareness studies. We don't need them. Sweden and Finland are small countries. If you don't know who your target group is, you should probably be doing something else. You don't need studies to tell you that. And studies just tell you what everyone else can get as a study. So no marketing department. We have a commercial department. We have a creative department. No, we don't do any studies. I don't care about logos. You can see later we took the logo and we like hyphenated it and put an exclamation point just to show it like no respect. We don't do any dorky marketing matrices, and we don't try to make everyone happy. So again, creative department. We also have an ad agency. We work totally seamlessly. We write our own briefs and we approve everything. So if you're the client and the agency at the same time, you can only blame yourself if everything gets screwed up. But think about it. No pitches, nothing. You're just kind of working together. Everyone's working together. And the most important thing, I think, is the reason that we've been successful is that we're very value-based. These are the things. It's built into the product. The product is sustainable. It's about nutritional health. And then there's some transparency and trust on it. Okay, so I'm going to move right along here. August 2013. Think about it. We dropped the book. August 2013, we start like, how are we going to design this thing? You're never going to find our products in that. It's impossible. There's some orange mango up there, and then the chocolate, and then over there some. It's important, impossible. So we said we got no budget, no marketing budget. The most important thing we have to do is we have to use the packaging. It's a free billboard, so let's use the packaging. It's not this like crazy strategy. It's just like use the package as a billboard and show everyone we're this small country with huge ambitions. So we wanted the feeling that Tony was down in the basement with some potatoes. And he's like carving out and printing the packages himself. That was what we were looking for. Everything was absolutely hand-drawn. It's like Lars Elfman, who's the designer, he's just drawing everything for hand, and he's still drawing everything for hand. And this is what the new packaging looked like. Most of you have seen it. Here's like the graphic profile. It's all crazy and stuff. And Tony said, oh, he said, Lee, it says Lee. You know, it's like, why does it say Lee? Because it says Oatly. And that's like exactly the question we want people to ask. Why does it say Lee? But anyway, he said, it's great, I love the packaging, but the sales are going to go down. Because sales go down when you change the packaging. But what happened when we changed the packaging is the complete opposite. The sales just exploded. And I'm sure many of these are from Finland, because you guys are so fast on everything. And I think one of the main things is because we have an opinion, we become human. I know that we've spoken this morning a little bit about being people to people, but we're not a logo, so we have an opinion. We're extremely political, not like in a political party sort of way, but we think that there's right and wrong, and we voice our opinions. So it takes brains to be stupid. It's like you've got to be the stupidest company in the world to not only put what goes into your product, all the contents of your product on the internet, but where they come from, the countries. Think about the political disaster that brings. Or saying exactly, here's the things that we believe in. Or that, like we're not a perfect company, but at least we try to be. Or maybe that here's a message from the cult. Or a message from the Oatly Department of Mind Control. I tried to write to the King of Sweden on some billboards. He never answered me. Because I figured it was his future, to make sure that the people actually had a planet. So these are the only things that we're actually rules. Be honest, be human, be consistently inconsistent. Like most brands try to have like a red line through everything we do. Or Nick was talking about like a flag that you put in the ground. We try to like throw the flag all over the place and then kind of chase it around and see what happens. Anyway, this is all good, and then the milk industry didn't really like what we were doing. They didn't like this ad particularly, and they didn't like that ad, and they didn't like when we made Tony, our CEO, stand in an oat field and sing his own song.
It's like milk made for humans. It's like milk but made for humans. Wow, wow, no cow. No, 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 wow, wow.
We actually wrote him a song, but he thought it was like compromising his creative integrity, so he wrote it himself. But it takes a great CEO to actually do that, like stand in a field with an 80s synthesizer. So I'm going to go through this. I'm going to get a little bit back to what happened there. So we think the cult of a brand lies in the details. If you're going to build a cult brand, it lies in the details. So we totally nerd out on the details. This is the first thing we did when the packaging came out. I put my telephone number and my email on the packaging. And I said, if you don't like the taste of this, I'll either write you an original poem or a short story. And so I started writing short stories for real. There was a request, I think it's great, I want a short story. And so I would try to write a short story in one sentence. And then I wrote haikus because I figured those were 13 syllables. And then it was like hundreds of those, and I was like, I have to do this original. I can't repost the same one because someone will find out. So we stopped that. And then I figured we'll put some other stuff on the inside of the packaging. So Jenny needed a boyfriend. So she loves puppy dogs. You must be interested in music. So she got like literally like so many. This is somebody up in Norway who's got a man cave with a bunch of bicycles and swinging on ropes. And then we said, like, I got this bicycle. It's got 2 tires and a bell and stuff. If you'd like that, just let me know. Or we got like some 10-kilogram barbells, a donut machine, some ice skates, and 342 issues of National Geographic. And then my inbox, when we did that, my inbox was full of this.
Hi, John. I would love to be the owner of your bike, and I gotta tell you why. Because I used to have a bike, which I rode to school every morning.
Okay, now you know what my inbox is like. It's 3 minutes and 42 seconds long. I had 342 issues of National Geographic. We sent them all out. This one went to Lithuania. What kind of company like takes like April 1994, the Everglades issue, and sends them to Lithuania just for the fact that someone wrote and asked for it? We like actually did that. Then I said, like, if you turn the package into handcrafted jewelry, we'll send you something nice. And then it's like hundreds and hundreds of these elaborate like, and I thought that was really funny. And then we had like, then I thought it was really nice that people could color in Tony's face and stick it on the internet. I never approved, never told him any of this. He finds out later, you know, when he opens the package of creme fraiche himself. And what happens is that people actually do it and stick it on the refrigerator. But what happens is when you do this and you work like this, you get real fans. And sometimes they tell you like a little bit more than you want to know. This guy told me that it was better than his mother's breast milk, which is... So we'll skip over that. But what happens is that when you build up this group of people that follow you, then show them the respect. Then they have your back when actually the 174-page document comes that says that you're sued by the Swedish milk department. And they sued us for this, and they sued us for this because they thought it was inappropriate that we made it look like milk comes out of the ass of a cow. Which is just, it wouldn't look nice graphically if it came the right way. So it wasn't like we were being evil. So what we did, because we're a transparent company, we took the whole case and we just stuck it on the internet. We just made the whole thing transparent. And we put full-page ads in all the morning newspapers that says, look, the dairy industry's a bit worried because people are starting to drink oat milk, so they're going to sue us. And this just went, of course, like you would think it would go. It's a David and Goliath story. But what happens is that because you have this following, then the cult gets to strike back, and they have the power of the internet, so they start writing and talking about it. And at the same time, our good friends at Arla decided to do, which is the big dairy company in Sweden, as you guys have it here too, but they decided to do this like breakfast competition on Facebook, like write into us and tell us what your favorite breakfast is. They got like 973 responses. All of them said Oatly. And we had no idea. I mean, they think it's like we've got this evil plan of like, they have no idea. But that's what being a lifestyle brand is all about. It's like finding a way to fit into people's lives. That's what a lifestyle is. It's not like being Red Bull and cool and going up in balloons or something. And then you can say like, okay, like who really cares? I mean, isn't that like a little bit too much work? We have something called a planet, so the planet cares, which is why we're basically doing what we're doing. It's like we're not that interested in selling products. We're more interested in like creating change, like helping people create change. So if you want to tell the story that 14.5 or 8% or whatever of all the greenhouse gases on the planet are from the milk and dairy industry, and then you compare it to like the same as all forms of airplanes and cars and buses, you can do that if you've got a good dialogue and you're talking about it. So the solution's quite simple. There is one solution. It's like it's cold and miserable here in the Nordic countries like most of the year. So sometimes you have to travel to see the sun. So it's hard to take that away. So you got to compensate other ways of doing it. And then you get people who are eating and drinking more plant-based foods. And at the end of the day, what happens is that we end up contributing to society and not just selling products. So that's maybe my most important thing is like, if you're going to be a company, you have to be one. You can be a cool one, and you can start to build a society that's actually like respected and one you want to be in, and not just show a bunch of profit. So because it's always nice to get some pointers or some tips, I got some random things for you. Execution is everything. A great idea is totally useless. The best influencer is totally useless unless you execute it perfectly. So instead of talking about the process, it's much better just to focus everything on the execution. We do strategy, execution, no approvals or processes in between. It kills everything. Everything that is unnecessary is totally necessary. If you're working for like a marketing budget, it's like, what can we kill so we can fall in budget? We do the complete opposite. It's like if a shelf wobbler, like one of those signs in the store, why not make that really great? Because someone's really bored when they're in the supermarket. So do things that are totally unnecessary. That's the things that you get remembered for. Instagram is a writer's medium. Sorry to tell you that. But if everyone's like focusing on visuals, we use it to tell stories and to write on. And we write, like usually if you do a sponsored post, you only have so much. We try to make sure that you'd like always, they have to click on more like multiple times if you could do that, just so that they have to read a lot. And the other thing is focus on people, not on the shareholders. It's not very easy for us to walk into the shareholders and tell them that this company is not yours, it's the people's. But if that's the case, they have a much stronger company than if it's just them looking for profit. My last slide is just a very simple one. Don't forget to have some. So I'm 3 minutes and 49 seconds short. How about that?